everyone, and welcome to the Podcast by Army podcast, where we talk about BTS, Army, fandom, and research. We are your co-hosts, Dr. Kate Ringland and...
Jhertau Her, a university researcher.
Yay! And today, we are talking about Min Yoongi, the birthday
Min
boy.
Yoongi! Our little Meow Meow. Our favorite cat. Our favorite tangerine boy. Every single time I see a picture of a cat, I'm like, that's Yoongi.
It really has changed cats for me forever. Yeah.
If you're not a cat person, canceled. Canceled. That means you're not a Yoongi person. Canceled, obviously.
Obviously.
Maybe like a bait tweet on Twitter, just like, do you like cats or dogs? And every single person who says dogs, I'm like, so you don't like Yoongi? That actually would be so evil.
Well, now you have to implement it before this gets aired so that you don't give yourself away.
Yeah, it's okay. We got this. We got this for real. He's the heart of BTS in a way.
Mm-hmm.
He's like the soft. If there's all those Yoongi is mean tweets or whatever, he's a little sugar booger. He's a little sugar butt.
Yeah. It's like the baby army misconception of the centuries. Like the worst one is the narrative that he's cold and mean.
He's
lies, slander.
He's misunderstood. He's introverted. And he has anxiety. Let him be.
Seriously.
Anxiety king. ADHD king. Right there.
Yes.
For real. He's living his best life. But yeah, you want to start us off, Kate?
Yes. Okay, so we're starting off with favorite songs, and I'm going to preface this by saying I could not actually pick a favorite song. I literally put some songs in a bucket and did a random number generator and picked one.
You're like those people who are like, all the songs are my favorite song. Whatever. Honestly, same though.
It's true though. So go ahead and eye roll me. I'm gonna be over here liking all the songs. Anyway.
I say that as if I was in conflicted before we recorded this.
Yeah. So today I'm going to talk about Snooze because, like I said, I literally random number generated it. And I thought Snooze would be a good one to talk about because it's one of those songs that has a lot of really personal meaning for me in terms of I am someone who has struggled academically for a long time, and then I did a PhD program where I came out as a disabled person with oddly a lot of the same neurodivergence that Yoongi has talked about. So there's a lot of personal feelings for me reflected in this song, in that I went through this PhD program where I really struggled, and now am on the other side, if you will, in some sense of I'm now got PhD students of my own. And so a lot of the lyrics, especially around trying to come up with ways to help other neurodivergent and disabled students and other marginalized students, how to help them come up in academia and be the change that we all would like to see in the world, essentially, and how to support them the best way I can, given that I am still a marginalized individual in the academy. So anyway, I see a lot of parallels within the song itself and then in a lot of his music, really. But this song really exemplifies it very specifically for me. And this song is just, obviously it's very pretty. It's just a really nice song musically, but I also love all the referential work he does in the lyrics and referring back to older music and referring back to other thematic stuff in his work, but also in BTS's music in general. So I highly recommend actually going to Dulcet Bangtan and looking at the English translation, because she actually has a ton of, there's like whole paragraphs of footnotes of the different references that are being made throughout the song to other songs and to other things that Yoongi has talked about.
I definitely agree with all you've talked about. Also, would like to highlight for one moment how Snooze, he has Woo-sung from The Rose featuring.
Yes.
The best decision ever.
Very good decision. Yes.
That man sings like he's been wronged by a million women. And just like with so much pain when he sings. and so much longing, and I'm like, "Ugh, that's what I need. That's what I need." And
Yes.
it's beautiful. And also the song Snooze being a message for younger idols coming into the industry, and then also having the man who composed Merry Christmas, Mr. Lawrence on it as well. And then it is like such a culmination of a song that has so many beautiful aspects to it. And honestly, Kate, that random number generator did you good choosing that song.
Yeah. It knew what it's doing, being a
It
random.
knew.
And I will
It
say,
knew.
as a footnote, I will say that I actually then took my mother to a concert of the Rose because I was introduced to them through this song.
Yeah. Honestly. The Rose is such a fun band too. I love Black Roses, like their fandom. They're so cute. And I love
They
their
were
light sticks.
adorable. They were adorable.
Yeah. Did you see the light sticks by the way for the
Yeah,
Rose?
yeah, they were all
They're so
they were
pretty.
yeah,
Yeah.
very
Oh my
cool.
god.
I'm
But
jealous.
much love. No, I'm not jealous. I'm just like I love the sphere.
Yes.
Okay. Past iterations of the army bomb did have the world map on it.
Yes.
It's just that the map of the Soul 7 version is literally just a sphere,
Yeah.
which it's an iconic shape because it's a bomb on the top. It's
Mhm.
iconic. But also, the rose literally has a rose.
Yeah, it's very pretty.
Yeah. I love our army bombs, though. Don't get
Yes.
me wrong.
No,
And
that's
I
I
love the
cherish mine.
colors. And I
Yes.
love how the map of the soul version is literally so bright, it's blinding.
Yes. Could take people out with it. Yes.
You
It's
could.
great.
You could. It's a weapon.
The weapon of love.
Yes. And as we talk about love, one of the songs that I love from Yoongi, I don't think this is my favorite song because I was literally just arguing about it with myself before this recording. It was between Moonlight and 28. I think I like Moonlight more. Question mark. I'm gonna have to
See,
sit on that.
it just depends on the day and how you're
Yeah, it
feeling.
depends on the day.
And that's fine.
Because I'm gonna say 28 for this podcast episode. But if you ask me in a week, it might be something different.
Yes.
Okay, because 28 for me, by the way, all lyrics from Dulcet Bangtan, as usual. The icon, the queen, who deserves barricade tickets every single time,
Mhm.
all the time. But I really love 28 because it actually, let me get this. Actually, the direct translation of the Korean title of 28 from the D2 album, by the way, is perhaps I'm gradually becoming an adult. Ooh, we felt that.
So good.
It's so good. Because I'm gradually becoming an adult and it's stressful out here. And every time I feel scared about becoming an adult because I've had a lot of moments in the 1 year I've been fully an adult. By the way, I'm 19, guys. Sorry to make everyone feel old. I'm sorry. Sorry. I do it to Kate constantly. So I have to apologize to Kate constantly. I feel bad. Making everyone feel old. I'm just gonna stop talking about it. But anyway, yeah, but there's this one verse of the song that talks about I thought I'd change when I turned 20. I thought I'd change when I graduated. And then shit like that when I become 30. Yeah, so what changed with me? And ooh, I felt that. Because I thought like when I would turn 18, I was like, I got everything figured out. I know who I am. I know what I'm gonna do. I know my future. And then I did get accepted into any Ivy League schools. Anyway, and then I went to UC Santa Cruz, met Kate, and I was like, okay, now I know who I am. I know what I'm doing. And then I stopped doing student government and being involved in politics, which I thought I would do forever. And then now I'm not doing that anymore. And now I'm here, and I don't know who I am anymore. Woo! So we're just constantly changing. I guess changing is constant. It's so constant that we don't think we're changing, which is wild because all of 28 encompasses that feeling of you're getting older, you're knowing more about the world, you're knowing more about life, but then you don't remember when you became an adult or when you are an adult. And that's scary. There's so many times in my life I've started doing advocacy work against deepfake AI and not against it's against improper use of it. And that's scary. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know what I'm ever doing. And then there's so many times where I'm doing things now that we're doing research. Spoilers. of something coming your way at some time. But I have to manage an entire team of people, and that's scary. That's hard. Kate gives a lot of guidance as a professor, but there's a lot of things where we're all just figuring it out, and there's no concrete answer, and it's very scary. But I like this song, it's very comforting to listen to. And I also like sonically, one of the production parts of it, see, I don't know anything about music production, so I can't describe this well. But it's like this like up and down sound where it's da 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 da, and it's like the up and down movement of that. It's very much like Seesaw, but I love that part of the song. And it genuinely, this song is so comforting to me because I remember when the song first came out in 2020. When we had it first come out, I related to it very differently than I relate to it now. Because I used to relate to it in the aspect of, oh, I'm figuring it out. I know who I am. But now I'm 19. I'm just like, I don't know anything. I'm not an adult. I'm just an adult teenage girl. I don't know. I have to pay taxes. I pay taxes now. And then I have to figure out my hotel to go to a conference and flight information. It's awful out here, Kate. It's awful.
You've got this. You've got it.
Thank you. Thank you. We're doing our best. But yeah, growing up is really hard, and you never actually grow up. Oof.
I can attest to that as being, according to the internet, 40. I also
Yeah.
don't feel like an adult half the time.
Yeah. I don't know. Life changes so quickly. I feel like I'm at the point in my life where I'm confused about everything. But then, like, knowing BTS and like seeing what they've gone through, I feel like very comforted because I'm like, okay, I don't know what's going on right now, but I will eventually reach a point where I'm okay. Cause like Namjoon talked about that, where like for a
Mhm.
certain period of time he didn't feel connected to his music, or he was feeling very disillusioned. And then in the Pharrell interview, I feel like he's more come to terms with who he is as a person and where his artistry is. And I think right now I'm in that Namjoon phase. Sorry to compare myself to Namjoon really quick. Kim Namjoon of BTS, icon legend. But I'm in that phase right now where I'm very confused and I don't know what's going on and I don't know who I am. But I think eventually I will get to that point where I know who I am.
You will. Yes.
Yay! I know I laugh, but really internally I'm sad.
No, this is just a natural part of being almost 20.
I don't like growing up.
I know, it's very hard.
Paying taxes sucks.
Mhm.
Filling out a W-2 form, insulting, honestly. Anyway, let's talk about something else. Our favorite things about Yoongi.
So, I have down here in my notes, that I was gonna improvise this. So, here we go. Again, this was hard to choose a thing, so I'm just rolling with it. So, the thing I decided to talk about today was I love how Yoongi talks about his work and kind of his commitment to his craft. And I have said this to some other folks, but one of the lives that he did that I actually go back often and rewatch is the D2 debut live where he goes through the whole D2 album. And I really like that live because it feels a little bit like a masterclass in how he does his work and what his process is like. And he talks through a lot of the behind the scenes stuff, but also really just gives a deep dive into his own kind of writing process. And I like those little glimpses because for me, as a writer and somebody who also has been trying to figure out a good process for their own craft, it's nice to see those insights from somebody who does things similarly, but also has their own insights. I still remember going to the High Museum and there was a wall. I don't know what it's like anymore. The whole museum's been redone, but there was a wall where the whole rap line each had their own like screen with video and they talked through their process. And so I watched all their videos and Yoongi's really stuck out for me because he talks about keeping notebooks and just his whole process of writing. And that to me has just really stuck with me both professionally and as somebody who likes to write personally too. And all my stuff seems like super professional. I like how he mentors and I like how it's all very relatable to my work life. But I think that it also, I think because it's almost like one neurodivergent to another. I'm like, I see you, I see what you're doing, and I appreciate it. And it's something that I can relate to, but also take inspiration from and take motivation from when I'm feeling either tired or feeling like I'm losing my way or whatever. It's nice to have that another person out there that I can look at and go, okay, this is something I can keep doing and I'm still on the right track or whatever it is.
Aw. I feel that same way. Like, you can just, like, stay on track with Yoongi
Yeah.
forever
Yeah.
because he is amazing. And also thoughtful.
Yes.
That's my favorite thing about him. He is a thoughtful king. He thinks about others all the time. And he also thinks before he speaks, which is very poignant, as a lot of people don't.
Just
I love how he speaks. He is like the type of person where he is just so quiet. And then after a while, once he's processes everything, he'll say something so like profound. You're just like, oh, yes, that is so true, Yoongi. And he's just a thoughtful little guy.
and he's
And then,
funny. He will say really hilarious things like out of nowhere, and it's great.
yes, he has
Yes.
great comedic timing. I love how there's this one time, I think 2013 or 2014, he made a bunch of handwritten notes and gifts for armies for a fan meet. And it's so cute. That's Yoongi, just as a person. He's a giver. He's a lover. He has so much love to give to the world. And people misunderstand him.
Yeah, it's true. As someone who
Yes.
frequently hears about myself that I'm intimidating, I totally relate to that feeling of being misunderstood. And I don't know. Yeah,
It's like how people think that I'm the extrovert and you're the introvert. So
exactly.
wrong.
So wrong. Could not have be more wrong.
Get Kate talking, she'll talk forever.
It's true. And I don't, that's the thing is I truly, yeah, no, yeah, I could keep going.
Like forever, guys. Actually, there's times where we tried ending conversations, we go for another hour.
I mean, that was like yesterday. We had a 1 hour call and we ended 3 hours later. It was great.
Yeah. We're doing great, guys. We're doing great. But yeah, I feel like people do misunderstand. There's a whole conversation to have about how armies, a lot of armies, will see any sign of neurodivergence and then just shut down and be negative about it. Feel like that's weird or whatever. And it's like, can you just be accepting how people are different?
Oh, or and maybe we'll get canceled for this episode, but like the army that come, oh, don't diagnose him. Those army. I'm
Literally
waiting.
said it.
He's literally said it out loud with his mouth. Come at me.
Seriously, come at us. Get behind me, Kate. I cannot stand people who try to act like you're diagnosing them or whatever because you're not. They exhibit these things and they act like this, and that's how like neurodivergent people relating to that should not be a bad thing.
And if you're seeing it as a bad thing, then you need to reflect because that's ableism, actually.
Instead, let's take a moment to appreciate Yoongi's gummy smile. Yes, just
Classic.
oh, it's so good. I love his little teeth. Oh my god, he's the cutest little boy. He's just a little guy. He's just a little guy hanging out. And he's here to spread happiness and joy with his tangerines and cats. It's like that one solo stand had the tweet where it's like making Yoongi's personality, tangerines and cats. And then Yoongi was like, oh, I love tangerines. Like a week later in a video.
No, seriously. And then they had the birthday cake that was just all cats, and I just cannot. We're
Every
out here. Just
every single time solo stands try to claim the member is some type of way, the member will show up.
when
Oh,
you're talking about making it my personality, it is my personality.
no, actually, it is. We had this note down too, like Yuki himself too. He's also like the most romantic member of BTS,
Oh yes,
obviously.
I will die on that hill. Actually,
He cooks. He's domestic husband.
no, it's
There's just a video released too. I think it was of the Beyond the Star documentary. and he's like sitting on a couch, and I think it's like around his birthday time and one of the concerts. And then Hobie and Namjoon are trying to deny that they're gonna do anything for his birthday during the concert. And then he just like looks so husband there. He looks so husband.
Yes.
Oh, I love that man.
I may have already saved that gif. Just
You're so real for that. But you know what we don't love?
we've already mentioned them once in this episode.
The solo stands. Anyway, we hate Yoongi solo stands. We hate that they even have to be associated with him. Personally, I have been attacked by them. They're just mean and uncaring. And they also have the I don't give a F mentality. And that they're just like so mean. They're proud of being mean. I feel like on a scale of nastiness, of course, number one, Jimin solo stands.
Sure.
Disgusting human beings.
Yes.
Have no morals. But then below that, Yoongi solo stands right there.
Mm-hmm.
They're just mean and uncaring. And they'll like attack you with anything. And it's just they're awful and terrible people. They don't register that either because they're proud of being mean. They're proud of the fact that they're mean. And
It's like deeply ironic given everything we just said.
it's like how also the stands are opposite of the member.
Yeah.
Yoongi's the sweetest person in the world. The solo stands, disgusting. Horrible people. Like, we talked about this before, but do you want to expand on it? Like, how they detach Yoongi from his politically charged background.
Oh yeah, that just came up recently, right? On the timeline. This is probably not the first time it's come up, but making comments about don't be associating his name with political activism and keeping politics out of his space. And we're all sitting there. Have you not read any of his lyrics ever? Just curious.
Everything he makes is super politically charged.
The politics of things, clearly one of his big agenda items from the get go, from debut. Just thinking about even Agum is super politically charged.
Definitely. With Agust D, I'm looking at the lyrics right now. Dulce Bangtan, as always, icon legend. Even the first line of Agust D is, "They call me new thing. Here's a new recruit. Get his stuff."
Yeah.
So politically charged.
Yeah.
In that one line,
Yeah.
referencing the military, get
Mhm.
his stuff, how militant the K-pop industry is.
And even snooze that I was talking about at the beginning of this episode is like super politically charged.
Yeah,
But
I feel like
like
people also reference Strange a lot, where it's very
Strange is a super good one because
anti-capitalist.
that's like super anti-capitalist. What do you think? Also super charged.
Super duper. We could just say every song
We could
in his
literally list, yeah.
discography.
But I think that and it's not just his lyrics, but if you go back and look at some of his interviews and stuff, like I think it was a Weverse interview, Weverse magazine interview, where he's talking about the K-pop industry and some of the problematic stuff with the K-pop industry, and then the choices of clothes that he wears. There's just like so much that is all very pointed and particular and trying to make a point. And then I feel like this is true of all of BTS, but him in particular, like really has opinions and does a really artful way of expressing them without being in your face, which is maybe too hard for some people to grasp.
Yeah, definitely. With how solo stands like try to detach. It was that solo stand. It was about Haegyum, right? And about stop trying to make what he's talking about political. Everything Yoongi does is political, and he
Right.
knows that.
And I think that's the difference between him and a lot of other just artists in general is that he knows he has a platform and he's choosing to use it very intentionally. And that goes back to what we were saying earlier in the episode, but he's very intentional about everything he does. And I think that there is, I guess that's just something that I really value about him is that this is his platform. This is how he's choosing to use it. And I feel like it's important that we actually sit and consider and reflect on the messages he's sharing with us.
Yeah, definitely. Because he shares a lot of messages that can apply to like multiple things too. Like when he
Yeah.
talks about gender identity at any point in time. Like you talked about the interview where he talks about the clothes thing,
Yeah.
and it's so profound to hear someone talk about that, especially with this platform, and how gender affirming that is for a lot of people to hear.
Yeah.
Everything Yoongi does is political, and even expanding that, everything BTS does is political.
Yeah.
They're literally political bodies, as in their body as a physical human being, as Asian Korean men from Korea.
Hmm.
They're political bodies, but then also like a political body as like the entity of BTS.
Yeah.
They're political. We have this like in our notes as well, but like the whole Busan concert. You want to talk about that, Kate?
That entire concert and how it came about and then how it ended up happening. There's a lot of noise and nonsense from the government that kind of occurred before, during, and after around it. But I think what's important here is that they then took that platform and they delivered a message to us as the audience. And I think they made something very clear while they were doing that. And it felt a little bit, in a lovely way, like a giant middle finger to politicians and the people that were essentially trying to control them in different ways. And then having that concert and then dropping their enlistment announcement like right afterwards was just chef's kiss. That whole thing was so good.
Kings, actually, kings for doing
Yes.
that. Because I remember the Busan concert, that was like one of the first times I've seen a lot of armies who I knew privately would refuse to talk about enlistment publicly. But that was one of the first times where I saw a lot of armies start talking about enlistment publicly. And I was like,
Yeah.
oh, it's serious now.
Yeah.
Because before the Busan concerts, like a lot of people did not talk about enlistment. Because
Right.
because it very much it wasn't a taboo topic, but when you talked about it on the timeline, then everyone would start talking about it and
Yeah.
throwing their opinion in. And then people did not like that because first off, a lot of armies don't know about Korean enlistment. Let's be
Right.
real here. So a lot of armies had very ignorant perspectives and viewpoints about it. And then second off, a lot of armies called for exemption, which BTS have never called for themselves. And it's a whole political mess when you ask for exemption because sports players get it. We saw a very prominent gamer
Yeah.
for a video game get it. His name's Faker. He plays League of Legends. If you don't know, he's literally a god of the game.
He was on a Run BTS episode.
Yeah, that's what's important. No, but to contextualize who Faker is, he's literally carrying South Korea globally in League of Legends, the video game. And if
Yeah.
they lost him, South Korea, in my opinion, would just lose every competition in championship without him. So that's probably why they exempted him, because South Korea knew that if they lost him, they would lose everything. But in the instance of BTS, they probably thought they could continue relying on the rest of K-pop. But now we're beginning to see things like the K-pop bubble bursting.
Yeah.
Like with sales numbers not matching with stream numbers or like actual popularity of a group. And how a lot of K-pop groups right now are being exposed for dumping albums, which used to be a big problem, it still is a big problem, but it's becoming an even bigger problem with this overbuying. There's a lot going on there. And just seeing how people during the Busan concert era started talking about enlistment and start having opinions on it, it really came to the apex of understanding like how political BTS as an entity are.
Yeah.
Because we saw how they could not say no to the Busan World Expo concert because this was for the World Expo, which Busan didn't even win,
Yeah. All of that, and they didn't even get it.
which they
Single
deserve to
tear.
not win
Yeah.
because they try to use BTS. And armies know that too.
Yeah.
And we were mad about it. And then
Yeah.
the politicians were like, why are they so mad about it? Why do we have a global fandom so mad at us about this World Expo? Because you were trying to use BTS for it. What made me uncomfortable was that one press conference with that one politician raising up. I think it was Taehyung's arm. I'm pretty sure. That was disgusting.
Yeah. That was really cringy.
I
And
almost want to find out the name of that politician so I can block him on everything. But yeah, the whole Busan concert really shows like the apex of BTS as political bodies and how they really can't say no to a lot of things.
right.
They can't say no to the Korean government on a lot. Like even we saw during the Boy Scouts.
Yeah.
What's it called? The Emporium or something? Festival?
I don't know, it was a whole mess. That's all I
Yeah, it
remember.
was a whole mess. And then what happened was that the Korean government put a whole K-pop concert on for them, so
Yeah.
they would forget about how much of a mess it was.
Yeah.
And they did a whole concert with a bunch of idols from different companies and also from Hype, and then Hype had to send photo cards of BTS because BTS themselves couldn't perform.
Because one of them was already enlisted at the time, right? Or
Yeah.
at least one. Yeah, that was super awkward. It was like,
So you just want to pull him out of military service to perform? Question mark. Anyway, but very much like BTS are political bodies and also victims of different circumstance. They generally could not say no to the Busan concert. And it was because I know they've said no to things like the Olympics, which is so funny still in retrospect. Because it's like they said no to the Olympics because they were busy doing something, and then Jin posts a picture of a chicken. No,
yeah, yeah,
it's a picture, it's a video with a chicken. King right there, king. But
yeah.
very much like BTS are political bodies, political entities, and if you ever want to understand that, just go back to the Busan era, the yet to come in Busan era, and go back to what people were saying then. Because very much political people, political bodies. How we feeling about that, Kate?
Yes, big agree. I think that it's interesting if you think of them through this lens of them as a political body and then go all the way back through to their debut album. And they've always been political. They've always been making these political statements, these political decisions. And that's why when they make choices like to go to the UN or to go up to the White House and stuff, like those are very important moments in general because that's what they made those decisions to make those statements. And so I don't know. I feel like there's a lot of pressure for them. I've seen it on the timeline in regards to multiple different things, but this pressure for them to speak on everything and to speak on different global crises and to do this or that. I think that it's important to recognize that they have to make decisions about what they will and won't say and what they can and can't say, and that there's a lot of moving pieces within that. And they make a lot of statements, but by not saying anything at all. And they make a lot of statements through other means, like through their music or through maybe through music they recommend, or maybe through different all these different things they do. They recognize the impact they have and they're making those decisions. And I think that's important to think of in the larger context.
Definitely. I feel like people don't recognize this enough. There's some things they have to do, and there's a lot of things they cannot say
Yeah.
explicitly. And it very much puts in perspective how BTS themselves are victims in a lot of circumstance. And
Yeah.
again, as South Korean Asian men,
Right. The context is super, super important.
yeah. And it makes me like extremely frustrated they can't say anything in a lot of circumstance. And it makes me extremely frustrated that they have to go through a lot of these things. Like I've talked to this on Twitter before, but go check my Twitter for anything you want to know how I think about things. I'm very vocal about that. But very much there's some people, like even in my immediate life and around me, in university, at home, like a lot of different people I know who can't say anything because they are fighting different battles. I have a friend who's working on a case right now,
Mhm.
and she can't say anything publicly because the opposition in the case would use anything, any ammunition to discredit her
Right.
and what she's working towards. Anything. And she's fighting a bigger battle for something that potentially 5, 10 years down the line will change everything in how we live as people. And if those people cannot speak, I've said this before. A lot of people got mad at me for saying it, but I'm gonna say it again. If other people cannot speak, then it is your duty, your job as an individual, as a person, to speak for them. If they cannot speak, then you speak for them. Are we
Yes.
hearing what I am putting down? Okay? If other people cannot speak, if you think, "Oh, why is this person not speaking?" Look at the people around them and what they are saying,
Yeah,
because those people will speak for them and
yeah,
will speak on their behalf. That's why I'm so vocal. A lot of people tell me to not be so vocal, but also I am a representative for multiple things. And I am, even if I always feel like, even if I don't want to go into politics or be involved in politics in any type of way, I'm so annoying that I eventually have to say something about it. Because I've subscribed myself forever to be just a forever activist, a forever advocate. And I
yeah.
feel like that's just what a lot of us need to be in our lives. So if people around you cannot say something, we're picking up what I'm putting down. We're picking it up. We're picking it up. Okay? If people around cannot say anything, then look to the people around them and what they are saying. And that most likely reflects what they think about the whole situation as well. So with BTS, and coming back to BTS and what they do, if BTS cannot say anything, it is up to us as armies, as their fans, to say something. But when there's actually things happening in army Twitter that did get recognized by a body in Korea, and that's exciting.
Mhm.
And Korean armies are on board with it, armies internationally are on board with it, and I hope all of us can continue organizing towards it. By the
Yeah,
way, right now we're recording this episode in January, but I hope by the time this episode released, maybe we can come back to it, give some updates on
yeah.
what we're happy and excited about. Because I'm excited for the future. And I know Army, as a political body themselves, hi, we're all political bodies. My whole existence is political. But yeah, with being political bodies, like as armies, if BTS cannot speak on something, we speak on it. We act on it. Because we are our own independent body who can do what we want.
That's
We
right.
literally talked about this before. Go out there and be annoying. Because
Yes,
being annoying is how things get done. So
yes.
that's your job. Yeah. How we thinking? How we feeling about that, Kate?
I agree. As somebody who actually, I will say this. I won't speak on specifics, but I will say, as somebody who has to actually be careful about what they say about certain things out loud, especially in recorded medium, I appreciate what other people are doing around me. So I do appreciate that. And I appreciate the understanding that comes with it. So the not making demands. So that's one thing I've seen, especially towards BTS, is like demanding they do this or demanding they do that. And that's not really our jobs. We can talk to Hive and we can demand stuff of the company and the choices the company is making. But I don't think it's our place to demand stuff of BTS, especially in terms of them making specific political statements. That has to be something that comes from them and is a choice they make, not something that we hold them hostage over. Because that's, as we were saying, there's a lot of context and stuff that we are not privy to. And there's a lot of context we can see, and we can't necessarily make those decisions for them. But I think as a community, we can be a voice for them, even if they can't speak about it.
Yeah. Also, if you want to understand the limitations that a lot of South Korean men face in the military, I really encourage you to read interviews and watch interviews from men who have been through the enlistment process before.
Yeah.
Because very much in the South Korean military, this is true for a lot of militaries around the world and a lot of situations in mandatory enlistment. You have no rights, essentially, once you enlist. And Kate and I have both been affected by militarism and the military industrial complex in our own lives and the people around us.
Yeah.
And very much, I hope people can come to an understanding about why they don't say anything,
Yeah.
because they don't have rights right now.
Yeah.
And it is, it's one of like, I'm not gonna cry because it's the Yoongi birthday episode and we should be a little more
He'd be proud
happy.
of us for talking politics on his birthday episode.
He would be proud. But it does it does make me deeply upset that The BTS they can't do anything. They can't say anything. Even if they weren't enlisted right now, I know they would have said something even subtly,
Yeah.
like a song recommendation or a book, like a book's page or something, or some type of thing, but there's nothing right now. And that is not because they don't want to say anything. That is really because of the circumstances they are under right now.
Yeah.
And it makes me deeply upset. And I really don't want to end this episode on a very upset note, but yet here we are.
Here we are. Happy birthday, Yuki.
Happy birthday, Yuki! We talked about politics in your birthday
Just
episode.
for you.
Just for you. But yeah. Any final thoughts, Kate?
Oh, yeah. I'll circle back around to the top of this episode and talk about, I I am deeply appreciative of the things that Yoongi has chosen to share with us and chosen to give to us in terms of his thoughts and his art and his everything. And I yeah, I don't have a lot of words actually because I'm just very deeply appreciative of him as an individual and then what he brings to BTS and then BTS as a whole is just it's a lot. But yeah,
Much love. I
yeah.
also have a very deep appreciation for Yoongi. He is, again, he's a little sugar bug. He's so full of love. He's so ready to give love to the world. He's also a political radical. And we love that about him. And
We
I
love the
do.
duality.
We
Yes.
do. I deeply appreciate him and everything he's done. And also just his music is so political. Him as an individual is so political. And every single one of the members is. It people are arguing, okay, I have to talk about this. I'm sorry. People on the TL are arguing. There's some Twitter TikTok screenshot of people saying like, Jin and Suga are conservative. And I was like, that is actually wrong.
Conservative politically?
Politically?
Was that what they mean? Because
Maybe.
I
I think
don't.
that's what they meant. Because if they talk about clothes wise, yeah, they cover up. We have
It is true. It's one of, if we're talking about clothes, it is one of my appreciations for Yoongi is his concern over my Victorian sensibilities. Okay, that's an important factor in him. I know he's my safe space. Okay, so there's that. But
yeah.
other than that, conservative is not the word I would use. No.
Both of them. I know a lot we're talking about Yoongi here, and a lot of people like will highlight that, but Jin as well.
Yeah, no. Mm-mm.
Very poignant. He said a lot of very political things before.
And he doesn't pull punches.
Openly talked about album manipulation in a public award speech before.
Yeah, no, yeah, no, I'm not seeing it. I don't see it.
Yeah. Anyway, I just don't like it when people try to label the members inappropriately or try to twist who they actually are as people.
No,
Don't do that.
don't do that.
Don't do that. Anyway, our little meow meow tangerine loving boy, we do love. And I'm trying to end this episode on a happy note. Thanks. Think of happier things. Yoongi, he's so cute. Every cat picture account on Twitter is terrorized by
Yeah.
armies in the quote retweets going, this reminds me of Yoongi. Yeah. Okay, good note to end on. Let's stop there before we do anything else. But yeah, I truly love and appreciate that man. I hope he is always safe. He is always happy. And everyone, please remember to take care of yourself. Take care of yourself, your family, everyone around you that you love. And keep picking up what I'm putting down. Thank you. Guys, I'm sorry the audio quality for me in this section is bad. My mic was not connected because we really jumped into the conversation and we're really into it. Sorry.
What's up, guys? Welcome back. We didn't actually end the episode. So, I know Kate and I really talked around it during this episode, but this is future us.
When did we record that?
January 3rd,
Yeah.
2024. Yeah. We talked around it. We kept going around it, but now we're just gonna say it, free Palestine. Anyway. Happy birthday, Yoongi. Listening back to it, we said everything that needed to be said. We did.
And I feel like I've basically just been repeating myself ever since.
It's almost like maybe we're a little right. Just a little. Yeah. It's so funny because there's like this one point in the podcast episode where I was like, people around me might not be able to say things. People around me in my immediate vicinity. And then you're like right there.
This is true.
The
But
things
then
have
I decided to throw caution to the wind
and now your name
myself.
is on the whatever the thing. The signing the thing.
Petition for academic freedom. Yeah, because the university
Yippee.
is trying to curtail our right to free speech.
And then I help pass the divestment, BDS divestment thing for our student government at my school. If you guys didn't know, every UC campus, University of California, this needs context. Back it up. Back it up, Jhertau. Back it up. Okay, University of California system is comprised of 10 universities that are all called UC and then the city wherever they're in. I go to UC Santa Cruz, which is part of the University of California system. But then there's universities like UCLA, UC San Diego, UC Davis, et cetera, et cetera. Okay. UC Davis was the first UC university to pass a BDS divestment statement. Not just a statement, it's like an actual like constitutional like bylaw in their actual like student government constitution. So it's like a permanent thing where the funds from the student government will never ever be invested into anything that contributes to the genocide in Palestine. And then it follows the BDS boycott list. And BDS stands for Boycott, Divestment, and Sanctions. And it's a nonviolent Palestinian-led movement. They do boycotts, they do divestments, and they a lot of information. You can actually go to bdsmovement.net to read more about it. And UC Davis was the first school to do that, and now all the UC campuses are planning to do that. Currently, at the moment, it's March 7th. At this moment, there's 5 UC campuses that have divested, but there is UC Davis, UC Riverside, UC Santa Cruz, UC San Diego, and there's one more. I'm sorry. Oh, UCLA. 5 so far that have divested, and all the other student governments at the other universities also have plans to divest. So that's what I've been working on, Kate.
What have I been working on?
Being a Twitter warrior.
Yeah, I have been popping off on Twitter a bit, like more than I planned on. I've been having moments of rage where I just was like, no, I can't be quiet anymore, and I have to write a thread. I've
But I
done
think
that a few
it's
times.
good you do that. It's almost like social media is an avenue to do activism on.
This is true, and it's interesting because it's a place that I've been doing activism on since 2000, early 2000s. But yeah, I know it's interesting because, and I think it's especially interesting given this episode that we're updating on. There's just been a lot of arguments on Twitter right now that are circling around the presence of politics in our space and the presence of capitalism in our space. And there seem to be widely different views of what's appropriate in our space and what belongs here and what we're allowed to talk about and what actions we're allowed to take, and it feels a little bit. I think the reason that I've been getting extra ragey about some of these arguments is that it feels really disingenuous. It feels really performative because, especially things like this last week, just as an example, we went from people arguing against the boycott to those same people making comments and forming ideas around how everyone should be buying, and if they aren't buying things, then they aren't really army. And like it I saw it coming. It was the logical thing that was going to happen when you have this pitchfork mob mentality going on, but it's just like we've never been like that as a community, at least not as long as I've been here and not as long as other people have told me. And I get upset when we're to the point where it's like all we're here is to feed the capitalist beast. Like what that is not the army that I know. That's not the army that I want to participate in. And so anyway, that's what I've been doing. Holding it together barely, apparently.
I feel like this loops back to our conversation on what is an army, because
Yeah,
very much I feel like buying is not inherent to being an army. I feel like it's like an action people do that is army adjacent. That's the thing. Like there are some armies who just physically cannot buy things because of the country they live in. You know, streaming sites don't exist everywhere.
right,
It's almost not every country in the world has access to a K-pop store just in their city.
right.
It's really baffling to see how many people are so subscribed to this idea of just like you have to like buy it the right or do it the consume the right way. When in itself, I feel like when we engage with BTS as art, that's not consumption. That is engaging in art.
These things are not the same. I think what I see happening is just layers and layers of privilege from folks who have not taken 10 seconds to stop and think about what they're typing. They're just reacting at this point because this whole the boycott especially, but a lot of the rhetoric on the in the community has really turned on this very reactionary. We've now picked sides. It's become a whole internal war essentially. And there's a lot of layers to the privilege around being able to buy, like you're saying. Not only is it are there places where you just literally can't buy, you can't stream, but then even within places where you could do those things, maybe you're a student who can't afford it, or maybe you're just economically disadvantaged, or maybe you're rural and don't have stable internet all the time, or maybe you don't, there's like layers and layers to what all this is, but it we shouldn't be discounting people because they don't have access to those things. They still want to participate in the art. They're still participating in the community clearly because they're here. And that does not even touch on the ableism of access at all. So I'm not, that's a whole nother episode. But like I so yeah, for me it's just I get really upset, especially when we're talking about BTS. We're talking about, and here, this is the Yoongi special, right? Like we're literally talking about the people who would be totally fine with people getting access in non-normative ways to their music as long as people are able to engage with and appreciate their art.
Yeah. The entire just the creation, the way that pro-Palestinian, anti-Palestinian sentiments have just formed on Army Twitter, and people treat it like we're just K-pop fandoms warring against each other or something, is so gross. Because once again, I'm gonna keep saying it. Palestinian people can't even comprehend something like this right now. They are going through a literal genocide, literally being actively killed by Israel. It's so disgusting how people do not center Palestinians and take this whole conversation and make it about BTS or about themselves. Like, people are always like, what would BTS think? What would BTS think? I don't care what they think.
Oh my
Honestly,
gosh, this. Yes. Can I just echo that? Yes. Because, oh, are BTS going to make a statement? Oh, I'm like, who cares? They, who cares what they think or say? They be do the right thing.
exactly. And sometimes people are like, what if they were Zionists? Like, what if BTS are Zionists? What if, and I'm just like, hypothetically, I don't think they would be. Let's just say that. But if they were, I would just quit being a fan and still do the same thing. Still do the same thing. My morals are just like, it's the same place.
Yeah.
So it it is just it's baffling, Kate, that we have gotten to the point where people are no longer like people are not treating this as like a humanitarian issue. People are treating this as like a fandom issue,
Yeah.
which is the whole problem. Because like we already talked about this. Like outside of BTS, outside of Army, we're doing our own things for Palestine.
Yeah.
We're boycotting, we're divesting in our own ways, we're doing things. Okay, I feel like Kate's not giving herself enough credit, by the way, guys. Kate, out of all of the engineering department, by the way, Kate's part of the engineering department, if you guys didn't know that. And Kate is one of the only engineering professors to sign on that academic freedom petition. And I just think we need to recognize that because a lot of engineering gets their money from things that are being boycotted and divested from because they all make the military weapons. They do. And Kate doing that is directly going against the larger body that she is a part of. So please recognize that and understand that like what she's doing right now is like exactly what she should be doing. She did not engage with Palestine outside of just being an army. And I think that's one of the main problems on Army Twitter right now. It's just so many people do not have conversations about Palestine outside of army spaces, and because of that, they think of it as only a fandom issue, but it's
Yeah,
not.
it's really not.
Like I talked about Palestine recently with people I'm very close to on Army Twitter who are buyers, who are funders, who care about BTS as well, and they're like, I don't think boycotting will do anything. Or someone said this to me, Kate, and the way this guy can tell sometimes people don't respect my opinion and don't respect me as a person and don't respect my intelligence as a person either. Because the way this person was like, I went to a mosque and I volunteered there and I spoke with the people there and they said, how's not streaming going to help us? Right. And they tried to use that as like a gotcha. I was like, see, this Muslim person in a mosque said this. And they tried to use that as a gotcha. And and this is by the way, this person is a very privileged individual. So the way that they use someone else's identity in order to justify their own comfort and their own lack of action was telling to me as who they are on the inside. Let's just say that. And I just had to very calmly explain to them about how the boycott on Hype, the boycott on streaming, that is all part of divestment. It was initially suggested and enacted more through the strike called on by the journalist Bisan, the Palestinian journalist. And ever since then, people have continued doing it because it's a humanitarian thing. It's not about BTS. It's not about Hype, really. It's about taking away our capital. That's one of the things that, as just citizens of the world, one of the only ways of protest that we're able to control now, like taking away our capital is so powerful. And the way people don't see that, and the way this person tried to say that and use someone else's identity to justify their own inaction, to me was disgusting and honestly shocking from them, knowing who they are. And we cannot think that way. There's there's so many times where people try to be like, this Palestinian person says that we shouldn't boycott or whatever. And I'm like, once again, there's this whole issue. This happens every single time there is like a movement or issue. If you actually study racial justice and study like different social movements, there's always people who point to, oh, this person doesn't believe in it though, who is from that group. So thus we should not do it. When that's not how this works. That's not. A movement is much larger than any one person. And any one person, they contribute their voice to a movement and an opinion to a movement, even if it's a contrarian opinion. But that itself does not discredit or discount the movement at large.
And I've heard this echoed on Twitter quite a bit recently. But yes, when you have a whole group of people, you're going to have a diversity of opinions. And that's important and valuable to hear those different opinions and to be able to assimilate those into a coherent response to things, to try to understand other sides of an argument. But what I've been seeing a lot of, especially with things like the dismissal of the boycott, especially, has been a lot of people just pushing back to argue and just creating obstacles and a lot of misinformation and disinformation and just a lot of fan worry stuff. We talked about how this like why are we treating this like a fan war? A lot of people are implementing the same techniques against each other, which is as a researcher I find it fascinating, but as a human being I find it quite horrifying. But this people are arguing to the point where they're being obstructive and a lot of folks will be like, "Oh, I don't believe in the boycott. I'm not going to do it, but I guess I don't really care about what other people do." It's great. Then stop talking and just let them get on with their business. Don't get in their way. We could all be like moving in a much more coherent way with a lot less toxicity and drama if we just got out of each other's way and each were doing our bit towards the greater good. But that's not what's happening here. It's a very active, toxic place where people are like, people that I have been moods with for years are like coming after me and saying really horrible things to me. And I'm just like, over what? Like, for what? And this is all just because I have decided to push forward this movement, especially given the horrific humanitarian crisis that's being caused, not without saying that the country that I am paying taxes to right now and am a citizen of is has a huge hand in it. And so I feel it is my duty to make sure that I am as non-compliant in this as possible. And so here we are.
I agree with what Kate's been talking about very much. Like, when you said obstructive, that connected with me because that's exactly what we've been seeing. Because I'm gonna say it, these people that I talk to about boycotting, they are all like, "Oh, I'm definitely not a Zionist, anti-genocide, right?" But they are actively being obstructive to the movement. And in order to be anti-genocide, you must be in support of Palestinians and their own liberation. And when you are actively obstructing that and actively making barriers for Palestinians and their fight for their liberation, you cannot say you are anti-genocide or pro-liberation for that fact. Because I see these same people, they're out here, they're retweeting all of the BTS release stuff, all the stuff for Hope in the Street, all the stuff for Friends, like the new V song, and they're collecting money to fund those types of things. They're not retweeting anything about Gaza. They're not retweeting anything about donations. They're not donating at all. And they can claim, "Oh, I'm only donating privately. I'm only donating on my own. I'm not going to share it because it's performative." Here's the thing: sharing donations is not, in fact, inherently performative. It's to encourage other people to donate. What I do when I share my donations, I'm always like, "Hey, I donated this amount of money. Can anyone match my donation?" And then I get people to match my donations. That's double the amount of money that the donation drive would have gotten originally. And it got double the amount of money because I asked people to match me. Because our inherently, we are a community of people. It's almost like we should use our community of people to do good. And when you don't engage with that, you're actively harming the community and being obstructionist to Palestinian and pro-Palestinian army. So, like, maybe you should share a donation link on your 20,000 plus followed account. Maybe that would get some people to be encouraged to donate, but you choose not to. I'm really heavily subtweeting someone right now. I know I am. Because this person in particular, that made me very upset that they chose to act that type of way towards me.
Sorry if the audio quality sucks on this episode. My microphone was not plugged in correctly because we just jumped right into this. But that's how we're feeling at the moment. That's our update since we last recorded this episode. Any final thoughts, Kate?
I am trying to balance doing this work and trying to find a way to not burn out because this has been some of the hardest times I have spent in an internet community ever. And the amount of heartache this has caused is just, I can't even begin to process. There's a lot going on and I'm going to keep processing it, but also happy birthday, Yoongi, because you are my shining light in this moment. And I love you. Yes.
And as we celebrate activist Yoongi's birthday, he's an activist, by the way, guys. He
Yes.
for sure is.
100%.
As we do that, I would like to share some wisdom from activist Mariah Parker, who I got to hear speak at UC Santa Cruz's Practical Activism Conference this past weekend, actually. She very prominently talked about how the we in activism is always more important than the I, than the idea of the heroic individual activists, like your Martin Luther Kings and like that. And I think as we move forward, that is what we must focus on. We must give up the idea of the individual activist. Like Kate and I, both of us, we're individually part of much larger movements within our spaces to enact change for Palestine. And I want you guys to take that wisdom. Also, take more wisdom from Mariah Parker. She also talked about how a lot of times people will say rest is revolution or rest is resistance. And that's true. But rest is also a necessity when it comes to activism. If you don't rest, you will not be able to continue your activism, continue your fight. So you must rest. And with that knowledge, please take it. Snaps from Mariah Parker, snaps, little claps, mini claps. It was really great getting to hear from her. She was really inspiring. And I think Yoongi would love her too. I'm gonna say that. I'm gonna say that for real. But yeah, thank you all for listening so much. Take care. Please remember to continue advocating for a free Palestine. And yeah, that's it. Bye. Bye.
Bye.